Melee and Ultimate are both having some rule set issues right now.
Smash needs a rule set overhaul.
What people can't seem to agree on, however, is what actually needs to change.
I don't understand why people hate Lilat crews so much.
I'm gonna get rid of Lilat, obviously.
However, I have a harsh reality to bring to you all. We will never get a good unified rule set. It's just not going to happen. But it might not be for the reasons you think. I believe that there are 3 big reasons that we will never get a good rule set for these games, and the first one is obvious. Nintendo. Nintendo is one of those companies that you grow up loving, and the more you learn about them, the more toxic you find the relationship. You may have grown up loving Kirby and Mario, but God knows if you want to play them competitively in Smash Bros, you've paid a price. Nintendo rules with an iron thumb. They enforce some very strict guidelines on what allows a tournament to operate, and as we have seen in the past with events like EVO and Big House, they are fully willing to shut things down if they don't quite like it. That means when you host a Super Smash Bros. Tournament, you have to play by Nintendo's rules. And Nintendo has some dumb, pea-brained rules. Want to run a large Melee tournament with Slippy? Sorry kid, that's illegal. UCF, Frozen Stadium, those sound like game modifications to me. Those are banned too. Super Smash Con, think of a better name when you're in Rikers, buddy. And there are some seriously weird game-specific ones too. Like, tournaments cannot use any renders of the characters for any promotional material or art, so the thumbnails are getting, let's call it creative. The stage list is what takes the biggest hit in my opinion though. Pokemon Stadium is one of the best stages in Melee with unique platform layout and great blast zones right up until the point when it's not. With transformations on, this stage becomes Freako mode and results in people either gambling with some of the least competitive layouts in the game, or worse, they don't engage with it at all and wait for it to change back. Maybe the weirdest part of the Nintendo rules that has mostly been unenforced so far is the rules on third-party controllers. Nintendo doesn't want you to play with third-party controllers, and any Nintendo official controller has to be allowed. Boxes, banned. GameStop brand, out of here. Cubstraption, half off. Nintendo has a lot of sway in what competitive Smash looks like, and it's not a great representation of what the community consensus is. However, we do have community leaders that represent us, and that actually takes me to point number 2, bias in rule set creation. This is gonna be hard to hear, but TOs are people too. I know. I didn't believe it either until I ran tournaments of my own. No matter how much mechanical information PTAS has stored in his noggin, he is still a human. I'm 90% sure. And PTAS, as well as a number of other people, are making a rule set for controllers right now that more specifically is supposed to bring the box in line with GameCube controllers. In theory, this is a good thing, because there should be rules governing how broken a box controller can be. However, a number of people deciding on this are people with a vested stake in GameCube controllers. First of all, let me just say that this was pretty much unavoidable, as controller modders are some of the most knowledgeable people on the Melee engine. Also, there are 2 box creators on that list. However, half of the people deciding how Nerf box controllers should be are controller modders who will directly benefit from box controllers being worse. Whether that's their goal or not is almost completely irrelevant, because that's still true. People are people, and they bring their own bias to the table when deciding on what is fair. There is inherent subjectivity to making a rule set, and those decisions are being made by people with their own preferences. I may talk to someone who thinks that Kalos is a good stage, and my human brain cannot possibly comprehend how that's even possible. But that's just the human experience, dude. Frankly, the rule sets are actually pretty close to being good as is, except for one huge problem. The biggest reason that we're never gonna have a fair rule set, you. When a game is so deep into its lifespan, we can't keep talking about who has the best jab 2 in the game or finding a new impossible jump to make. We eventually have to start complaining. And we love complaining. Sometimes it feels like a contest to see who can be the most obnoxious complainers. And for a while, Ultimate players had the lead. But now I'm not so sure. Ultimate players complain about Sonic and Steve, Game & Watch and Kazuya, their waifus being added to the game but without their skimpy outfits. All of which is tired and annoying to hear about. But you know what's actually more impressive? Finding brand new things to complain about in a 23-year-old game. Cody Schwab is the best player in the world, or at the very least, top 2. His Fox is insane, his Rise has been incredibly impressive, and he clearly grinds and puts in the work. If you think, even for a second, that his ADHD meds or him having jump bound to Z are the reason, You're a moron. You should not legally be allowed to have an opinion. If you think Z-Jump should be banned, then there is not a version of the box controller ever that will satiate you, because it'll always just be easier to hit those buttons. People will complain about literally anything and everything, and I know because I'm a complainer. I'm complaining right now. The Rivals 2 beta weekend just happened, and I am ashamed about some of the things I was complaining about. Excuse me? What the fuck? We are all here playing a competitive game, and unfortunately with competition inherently comes ego. When you lose, you want to have something to point to save your ego. The box controller is just a large target, or maybe it's ledge stalling, or maybe it's Steve, or maybe it's the stage list forcing you to counterpick yourself, which is actually pretty stupid. The real answer is that it's you. The better player adapts. The reason we can't have a fair rule set is because of whatever you deem to be fair in that moment. So whether it be Big Nintendo, Big TO, or Big Ego, we'll never have a fair rule set. But damn it, we can get close. Introducing Ziggy's Electric Smash Tournament Set, yes, that's one word, or Zest for short. First of all, I'm done saying PS2. Get that out of here. If I see one more patch of grass, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. We are replacing it with WarioWare, because fuck you, that's why. Secondly, it's time to stop being cowards. We have to do what those in the past weren't strong enough to do. So Steve, Meta Knight, and Bayonetta are now all banned. I am tired of having to yell Pro Controller every time I sit down at a setup. So Pro Controllers are banned. Pro GCC, you're on thin ice. Box controllers are now fully legal, but every time you hit a ledge dash with more than 4 Galint, you have to take a shot. Wobbling is banned on everyone except Mewtwo King. All players' YouTubes will be checked at the door. Anyone sub to the Yard, Coney, or Technicals is banned. And that's about it. And remember, if you have any problems with this rule set, at least it doesn't have Kalos.